Since all of you have had some training, I'd like to begin with a song that, for me, is a good song for reminding us of what this whole process is about, what it's designed to make possible. I never feel more given to than when you take from me. When you understand the joy I feel giving to you, and you know my giving isn't done to put you in my debt, but because I want to live the love I feel for you. To receive with grace may be the greatest giving. There's no way that I can separate the two. When you give to me, I give you my receiving. And when you take from me, I feel so given to. So we all know that, but we forget. We forget about that kind of giving because we get caught up in other stuff. How do you say please in a way that makes people enjoy giving with the spirit that that song was about? Where the giving is self-full giving. That means it's not coming out of any giving in or giving up. It's not to buy something. It's not to avoid punishment or guilt. It's pure human enjoyment of enriching life, you see. So how do we say please in a way that makes that happen naturally? So we have this immigrant new into the country. We're kind of in a mean mood, so we're going to play a trick on this immigrant. The immigrant wants to know, how do you say please in a way that creates that kind of giving? So we say now, when you're the most vulnerable and you need nurturing the most, I'm going to show you what to say and how to say it. Now, of course, the immigrant is going to be very interested. And we say, you look at the person and you say this, idiot! Wouldn't that be a cruel trick to play on somebody?
Yeah.
Really, when you're the most, it's been played on us. That trick has been played on us. Because we have been taught a language that when we are the most vulnerable, to say please in a way that almost guarantees we won't get what we want. If that isn't a horrible trick, what is? So let me show you what I consider compassion killers. Use any of the following kind of communication, you see, and it's almost guaranteed to make it hard for people to enjoy giving to you. See? Use any language that sounds like a criticism to other people. You see? So get out your mental erasers and let's erase the following words from our consciousness. Right, wrong, good, bad, normal, abnormal, appropriate, inappropriate. Well, I don't want to go on because the list is so long. If you were educated like me, it would take us probably 4 or 5 days just to erase all of the words that are in our heads were put in there through our education that destroy this beautiful game of giving out of the heart. So every word coming out of our mouth that implies wrongness to other people, that sounds like wrongness to them, almost guarantees that we will not get what we want, you see. Whether it is a crude judgment like idiot, or a more sophisticated one like, don't you think it would be more appropriate for you to consider other people's needs once in a while? Which of those two would you prefer if you were on the other end? Yeah, me too. I sometimes think it's just because I was raised in Detroit, but no, I find other people prefer Detroit style to nice criticism. And anything that people hear that sounds like a demand, you see, it destroys the beauty of giving. How sad that we have been taught to use any of the following tactics, because if we use any of the following tactics to influence people, to whatever degree they carry a trace from the past to this moment about any memory of our having used these tactics, it destroys their natural capacity to give to us in the way that song was about. See, so to whatever degree a person remembers being punished by us in the past, to whatever degree the person sees us using rewards to get them to do things, to whatever degree a person associates us with shame or guilt induction, they recall us in the past trying to make them feel guilty or ashamed for what they've, when they haven't given to us what we wanted. Or to whatever degree we have used concepts of duty or obligation to get people to do things, you see. To whatever degree people carry a trace of that, it destroys what that song is about. It just makes it impossible for people to give with what is a natural way of giving, you see. So, we're here for a couple days to deepen our ability to remember what needs to be communicated between us and other people, just to make this natural giving happen naturally. And to remind you all, I realize you've all been in trainings before, essentially what it requires is that we communicate two things to people. What's alive in us? This is just another way of saying the question, how are we? Giving requires constant feedback about how we are, you see. So nonviolent communication is designed to keep our attention at that level. We have been educated to work for extrinsic rewards, not to look at whether what we're doing is serving life, making life wonderful, but whether it pleases the authorities. So we've been brought up to work for getting rewards from authority, to avoid punishment by authority, so that we will be dutiful citizens and do what the king says or the oligarchy says, or because we've been brought up, educated under domination systems that have been, the purpose of which is to teach you to be docile and subservient to authority. So we've learned a language that doesn't help us to say how we are and what would make life more wonderful. So how do we say this simple thing, how we are and what would make life more wonderful? Nonviolent communication identifies four things that, when we get fluent exchanging this information, communicates clearly how we are and helps us to understand how others are. It helps us to communicate to others what would make life more wonderful for us and hear from them what would make life more wonderful for them. And it has been my experience that when there is the flow of that information and nothing else, those compassion killers don't get mixed in. When we just have a flow of communication of how we are and what would make life more wonderful, we can resolve any conflict so everybody's needs get met without any coercion or violence being necessary. If we can just maintain that flow,